Good evening. Good evening. Happy Monday. Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to the Wives Matter Network. I am your host and executive founder of this amazing network. Andrea Hudson of Ash Enterprises Incorporation, where we are mentoring, motivating, and moving you for ministry and marketplace. Welcome to another exciting webinar and episode of the Wives Matter Network. If you are watching, I want you to comment in the comments below. Let us know what city and state you are viewing from. And of course, we want you to share and repost today's episode of the Wives Matter Network. It is Monday, and Monday today has been Mondaying for everybody, including myself. It has been a day, but we are here. We're glad, number one, to be alive. We are glad to be in the land of the living. And we are glad to see a brand new day. So if you're viewing again, comment, let us know what city and state you're from. Also, share and repost tonight's episode of the Wives Matter Network. So, you guys, you wanted an encore presentation. You asked for a part two. Remember a few weeks ago when we did this show, Young, Married, and Professional? You guys were engaging in the comments. You were talking about a part two. You kept asking, when is it going to be a part two? Can there be a part two? This is not enough time. And so we listened to the audience, and we are now doing a encore presentation this evening of Young, Married, and Professional. So we are excited to continue the discussion with our beautiful, amazing millennial women that are married. They are professionals. I see you guys in the comments. Come on, come on, come on. They're married. They're professional. They love God. They have relationships with God. They have amazing husbands, thriving careers. And we started a discussion a few weeks ago about what does it mean to be young, married, and professional. How can you navigate marriage in a digital society, in a society where literally everything is grabbing your attention, in a society where marriage is no longer, accepted. Marriage is kind of frowned upon, even for our younger generations. But these ladies and their spouses made the decision and the intention to say, I do. And it was such a great discussion a few weeks ago. I received so many testimonials from individuals from around the world in different age groups saying that they really enjoyed the transparency and the authenticity of the discussion of young, married, and professional. So we're going to continue the discussion tonight, and I'm going to bring these amazing, beautiful ladies on at this time. I'm not going to read all of their bios. You guys already know how accomplished they are, how anointed they are, how beautiful they are. We're going to go right into the discussion because we have some surprises in store for you guys tonight. Yeah. Yeah. Not only will it be a very empowering discussion, but we've got some surprises for you tonight. So let's go ahead and bring them on. Our guests tonight, they're no strangers to you all. The beautiful Anna Turner, the beautiful Mylisha Hayward, and the beautiful Latasha Harris. Let us say hello to these beautiful ladies. Hello, beautiful ladies.
Hello. Hi. Good
Well,
evening.
ladies, they wanted an encore presentation. You guys are extremely special because normally I don't do encore presentations. But I decided to listen to our audience. And I thought that it was befitting that we had a part two because I just felt like we only scratched the surface of the discussion a few weeks ago. Would you guys agree?
Yes,
I agree.
absolutely.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. And so much internal healing took place in the last webinar, podcast, Facebook Live. So much took place, and I feel like God wasn't done.
Yeah.
So we're going to dive right back into the conversation. I have an opening discussion that is going to be a little controversial, and I really want to hear from your young minds about this, okay? And those of you that are watching, comment, okay? Let's get this discussion going, all right? All right. So I pulled this from Facebook today. I pulled this from Facebook. So I don't know if it's entirely true. Let me put the disclaimer out, okay? Okay, I don't need anybody trying to sue me or anything like that. I pulled it from Facebook. I saw the post. I read it. I thought it was amusing. And I thought that it would be kind of great to do an icebreaker discussion on this topic. So let me just say that what I'm about to discuss is not entirely the views of Ash Enterprises or the Wives Matter Network. I pulled it from Facebook. I have a screenshot to show you the origin of where I took this from. All right. And I will use such words as allegedly, okay, because I have a legal background, former paralegal. So there will be no type of any type of lawsuits or legal ramifications concerning what we're about to talk about. All right. Okay. So here we go. I saw this on Facebook today, and it says the following. All right. Janet Jackson married a billionaire in 2012. Allegedly, there were two clauses in the prenuptial agreement. Number one, she would get $100 million if the marriage lasted at least 5 years. Number two, she would get $100 million if she gave the tycoon an heir. In 2016, at age 49, she became pregnant. You guys remember that? I remembered it. She gave birth in 2017, the year they completed 5 years of marriage. The same year, she filed for divorce and received $200 million from the tycoon. So I want to talk about finances as our opening question. I don't think we really touched on it in our last discussion, but I want to talk about finances in lieu of this information that was presented on social media. Ladies and whomever wants to start, by all means, unmute yourself and let's start. How important is setting financial goals for your marriage? All right. Who would like to jump in with that?
I can go ahead. I think it's very important to set financial goals in your marriage because for my case, and for instance, I'm married to an entrepreneur and I'm a nurse. So on one end, it feels like there's the stability, and then on the other end, sometimes, for instance, when the pandemic hit, my husband he has a truck driving logistic business. The warehouses weren't properly open, so I think when we first started out, when we first got married, we had to lay that foundation of our financial goals because in the instance if something was to happen, I am your helpmate, so we need to collaborate and work together on how we can work through any financial difficulties that we may have.
Oh, this is very good. And see, I know that the other ladies, and I want to hear from you both as well, Anna and Latasha. Uh, Latasha, you are a full time entrepreneur. Anna, you are an entrepreneur as well. And so I want to hear your perspective as well, especially with the the entrepreneurship game, because it can be up and down, and as my Alicia stated, the pandemic really hit the entrepreneurs kind of tough. Not saying that it didn't hit anybody else, but for us that are in business for ourselves, we had to kind of go through some things and navigate through some things. So let me hear from the other ladies. How important are financial goals for your marriage?
I'll go. So for us, I'm an entrepreneur, but my husband is also a full-time entrepreneur. Actually, he had left his full-time corporate job right at the peak of at the beginning of the pandemic, and we had no idea that the pandemic was going to happen. But he decided to go full-time with doing photography, and I'm full-time entrepreneur as well. So we have to actually, we're still learning to do that, like balance our money together and separate, just because family of four, with my two children that I had prior to marriage, planning vacations and just time for emergency funds and things like that. It's very difficult to do when you are an entrepreneur, because our money is, if we don't work, we don't get paid, unless we set ourselves up a different kind of way, which we have not yet, being transparent. So we don't have, like, an emergency fund or things like that set up to where a 401k or anything like that set up in case something was to, like, significantly happen, God forbid. But just even balancing our bank accounts, like having, we just actually open one account that we have together. My husband is the numbers guy, so he's the one that he crossed every T and dot every I. I'm not that one. I'm the more spontaneous one. Like, let's take a trip. He's like, wait, but how much is it gonna cost? And things like that. So we're still learning. We're still learning. So I'm here to learn about this portion of the conversation as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Latasha. My husband is more disciplined, so he is like the numbers guy as well. I'm much better than I was 19 years ago. And I think entrepreneurship taught me a lot, payroll and taxes and
Yeah.
all of that. So I'm much more frugal than I was, 19 years ago in our marriage. But I've always felt that whomever is the strongest
Mhm.
with finance in the marriage should be the one that will spearhead it. It has nothing to do with gender. It
Mhm.
has to do who can manage it better. And sometimes that's the woman in the marriage, and sometimes that's the man in the marriage. Would you agree, Anna?
No, absolutely, I do agree, and I'm so glad that I went last because I'm not alone. I'm seeing a pattern here. No, but what I was gonna say is that my husband has always held a corporate job, and so there's always been stability there with benefits and that type of thing. And I'm so super grateful for that because not only has it allowed me some flexibility with my entrepreneurship and that type of thing, but he's very settled, and so um, with we're both in tech, and so there's always some stability in tech, but I am more. I think it's important to set like financial goals and understand like how we think about money, how we act with money, and that type of thing. Particularly before we get married, because we have two different ideas of like how it's run. But my favorite thing to say, and I say this all the time, is that we are Richard. So the man of God handles he handles all the finances, and I joke about this all the time. Like even with my business now, I always tell her I'm gonna put you on payroll because he be balancing my books over there too. So it's really important because I lean more to him. Because one thing about me, I can, if I want to, I can get up and get a corporate job, and I get one. It can be high paying, or if I want to be an entrepreneur, I'm doing that. But one thing about me, I know how to get some money. Okay, in the name of Jesus. But he is more he is more of the maintainer. And my husband, if he really wanted to, he could be a financial coach with the way that he budgets money and teaches about money and that type of thing. So yeah, it is really important to discuss and have those conversations, because I feel like we all have the same consensus in a sense. But yeah, he's more of the maintainer, so I can bring it in. He be frying it on the pan. So yeah.
I love it. And let's revisit this scenario, well, not scenario, but this situation with Janet Jackson and now allegedly her ex-husband. So, and these are, honestly, for lack of better words, rich people's problems. Okay. We're not there yet, ladies. We're not there yet. We don't have those type of, rich money problems just
Yeah.
yet. But I want to hear from your mindset about protecting your marriage financially. Of course, that was a sort of a business agreement, okay? And I kind of scanned the comments in, under the post, and of course it was quite comical what people were saying and thinking about all of this. But it's evident, that was not just a marriage, but a business agreement. And so, with that being said, what are your thoughts, as a millennial about financially protecting your marriage? Anyone? Do you disagree with what they did? Do you agree with what they did? Let's talk. Let's talk.
That's a lot of money. I mean, of course, people do marry for love, and that of course is like a standard. But I do think that it's also like it's a business deal as well, and I feel that one thing my husband have said about me was that not only did he see me before he knew I was his wife, but not only did he see me like as a mom, but he also talked about how like I was always about finding new ways to make some money and and so for him and for me as well, I feel like it's not about the money, but I mean, of course, especially when you start coming together and talking about it, it's going to be a factor. We have to factor in the health. Where's your credit score? What's going on with what loans do you have? Like what's going on? It does matter. And so this I think is interesting. This particular situation I think is interesting. Maybe for allegedly, maybe for Janet, this was just a business deal. It was just a business deal. Maybe there was no love involved. I think everybody has a lot to say about this, but I mean, I think it's interesting at the 5-year mark that she got out. So yeah, I thought that was it. I think it's just a business deal. I mean, they do it all the time in Hollywood.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. And let me, admonish those that are watching that, especially those of you that are dating and the person that you're dating, you are, contemplating a future with them, a long-term future marriage with them. You have to discuss money. You have to discuss finances. You can't go into a marriage blindly with just love on your mind. You have to discuss credit scores. You have to know the good, the bad, and the ugly as it pertains. Now you won't know everything just yet. I mean, some stuff is not revealed until after you say I do. But you have to discuss finances. You need to know how long they've been working a job. What type of cycles do they have? Are they always quitting? Are they always getting laid off? Are they you got to discuss all of that. Would you all agree, ladies? Let me hear from you all.
Yes, I would totally agree. Just having a transparent moment, being a single mom for so long, with my finances, I was kind of like operating in a survival mode where my money was the way it was allocated. Being an entrepreneur, I did have corporate jobs, being a single mom where I would do hair on the side, but just allocating money, like I would pay my bills broken down like maybe every week or every 2 weeks versus like on a monthly basis. And now that I'm married, my husband's like, why you do that? Like, why you don't pay your bills like monthly like when they do? But if I have a $300 cell phone bill or whatever the case, in my mind, I break it down, okay, 150 the first 2 weeks, 150 the second 2 weeks. So, and it doesn't make it like a right or wrong thing, but it had to be discussed because the way that he was used to, doing his finances, yes, that's a better way. But I had to train my mind to get out of like the survival mode of, I don't have to do it this way anymore. Like I could just save for this particular bill or whatever and just pay it once a month and be able to save money versus every time I get paid, it's like it felt like I was robbing Peter to pay Paul, or just trying to get ahead. So I think that all of that is important. And even like the credit score, like Anna has said, being a single mom, I did fall behind on some bills and things like that. So when I first got married, my credit score wasn't the best, but I had to be transparent and let him know, like, hey, this is what happened. And these are some things that I do need to pay off, to bring my score up, because otherwise I would just be in secret. And that's not the way, that you want to be in your marriage. But on top of that, I did want to get my credit score and, get things on track. So you have to be honest and transparent, even though it may feel embarrassing and things like that. It's important because your past is your past. You just have to move forward and just know that God sent you the right person that's going to be able to help you to get on track and stay there.
Very good. Oh, I hope you all are enjoying our discussion so far. We're talking about finances. We're talking about money and marriage. Mylisha, we have a question on the floor, and I'm going to have you answer this question, and then we're going to move to our next topic of discussion. Someone asked, should couples have mutual or separate accounts?
Good question. So honestly speaking, I've just started talking to my husband about creating an account together, because he is the provider. He pays the majority of the bills in the household. And so I told him I wanted to create an account where we just have just for bills. I think because it'll make us more accountable, and we'll know where the money is coming from and how much we're saving. So yes, right now, no, we still have separate accounts, but I think it is very important to get one account together, just primarily for bills.
Would you ladies agree? I definitely agree. I definitely agree.
Yes, I was going to say that we actually started off with merging all of our finances in the way that, because at first I used to manage them and now Richard manages. Like you said, lady, it really is in season, whoever. In one season, I was more stronger in my mental capacity. I was able to handle all of that. But then now I was like, here you go. But so we started off merging everything, and now in this season we have buckets. So like Mylisha was getting at, we have we have two accounts together, and then we have our little cash apps for our allowances and that type of thing. But we definitely keep and have kept everything together. One is just for bills, one is for emergency funds and that type of thing. But he separates everything into buckets, and that's how he do it. So
and it works.
And it works.
And it works. And literally at the end of the day, as long as it works for your house and works for the culture of your family,
yes,
that is what you do. You have to find what works for your marriage.
Yes.
For some individuals, they can do the whole mutual account. They're both disciplined in doing that, and not have to worry about a husband taking out X amount of dollars and not telling the wife and all of that. That didn't work for me and my husband in the beginning of our marriage. And so my husband was like, you taking money out and I don't know about it. Yeah, we're going to do separate for right now. And for years, that's what we did until we were able to build, and I had to come up, so to speak. But you have to find what works in your marriage. This is a great conversation. We're going to keep going because we got some other things that we want to cover. So I want to talk to you ladies about what does self-care look like for your marriage. We live in a society now that is big on self-care. That word, hyphenated phrase, wasn't as popular as it is now, like 15 years ago or even 20 years ago. You didn't really hear people talk about self-care, but this is something that is very prevalent. It's very trendy, and it is something I feel that it needs to be discussed, especially with us as women and as wives. So let's talk about the importance of self-care for your marriage. Do you and your husband have time away Is it wrong to have time away from your husband? Who wants to go first?
I think self-care is exactly what it means. Self-care. Sometimes I need time to decompress. I need time to just be by myself. Self-care for me can be just a day of not doing anything, no laundry. Maybe we can order some food out. Maybe we could just watch TV. That's self-care to me. I don't always have to go out to spend money. Self-care I can use my time and just do whatever I feel the need to do.
And so, my Alicia, do you feel guilty about?
No, I do not. I really think that it's important that he has his time and I have my time. Not saying necessarily, all day, but I do need just time for me, for me to recoup, time to me. Sometimes self-care is just spending time in the word by myself so I can have a better understanding for me. What do I need in this season? So I think that that's very important, spending time alone and with God too.
Amen. Latasha, what about you? What does self-care look like for you? Unmute yourself.
I'm sorry. I did a challenge actually myself, where I did 30 days of self-care, and every day I did something that I wanted to do, whether it was for an hour or a couple hours or 30 minutes or whatever. And I think it's important to do that, because I can't help someone else or be there for someone else or give my true authentic self if I'm exhausted or depleted or mentally, at my capacity. So with me having 2 children and also married, sometimes I just be feeling like I do feel guilty sometimes because it's just like I need to step away, but I might have a lot of stuff to do. And my husband is the one like, no, you need to learn how to start saying no and, take things off of your plate and things like that. And we're the opposite. Like he says no all the time. And I'm always the one like, oh, I'll figure it out. I'll help, I'll do this. So I'm just learning like it's important. You have to have self-care to find that balance. Like, you step away. And I always tell people, women in particular, like it doesn't matter how long you do it, just take the breather and do it. And you'll learn a lot about yourself when you do it. Like I learned a lot about myself. Like I love nature walks. I like to sit, listen to music, just have my tea time, like whatever. And when I'm in that mode, like my family knows, like just don't bother her. But I will likely leave the house too because they still mine. What's for dinner? So it's like, do y'all not see me in my room, in my space, like doing me? So usually I leave the house for my self-care. I'm not at home.
And I totally understand. Anna, what does self-care look like for you?
Yes, I think it is full transparency, authentic conversation with your spouse, number one, because in the beginning of my marriage, I thought I literally had to do every single thing with Richard. I thought I had to be up under the man of God, although I do like to be under the man of God. But I literally thought we had.
There's nothing wrong with being up under the man of God.
I literally thought I had to do everything. I thought we had to travel together. I thought we had to do all of these things together. And literally, so I've traveled for work in like in my business and that type of thing. So I've been away from him. But this past July was my very first time planning a trip just for me. Like no Gabby, no Richard. And he encourages that. Like, and honestly, I just didn't understand until I went. I definitely felt guilty when I first went because I was like really trying to enjoy myself. I went to Atlanta, and I was like trying to enjoy myself. Of course, I didn't do anything crazy, but I really was trying to like take care of me. And so like even after when I came home, he and I was talking about it, and I was like, "Oh man, I really missed y'all." And da da da. But I know the next time I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. And so my next trip is for Woman Evolve, and I'm really excited about that because I know that my husband does not feel any type of way about me caring for myself and making sure that I have that time for me because he will take that time for himself and make sure that he is, make sure that he is cared for. And so it was like something that I had to make sure that I'm doing for me, but I had to first communicate that to him for him to be like, go handle what you need to handle.
And I think it's so important you use
Yeah.
the word communicate.
Yes.
I think it's important to have those conversations with your husbands when you are feeling, like you're getting to a point of depletion, when you need some air to breathe, and letting them know, it's, you're not the problem. It's just, I need some space. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm not sure what our predecessors would say about this conversation. But I don't know, those that have been married 50, 60 years, they might, but I just think I think it's very beneficial. And I think because we live in such a different age now, and things are different for us as women. Not to say that our mothers and grandmothers and great grandmothers didn't endure things, because they did, a lot. But it's a different time now. And if you're not intentional in taking care of your mental capacity, taking care of your mind, your body, your soul, and your spirit in the type of age and culture that we live in, then you're going to begin to experience some depletion, some burnout, if you're not careful to take that time for yourself. I took a trip this year, the first time in a very long time, without an armor bearer, without an assistant. Got on the plane, went to California by myself, to visit family, of course, in California. But, told my husband, I just want to take a trip. I want to go, and normally we go together. We always go to California every year together, either for my birthday or anniversary. And, he was like, okay, yeah, I want you to. And I was like, by myself, by myself. And I'll be very honest, I was a little nervous because I don't normally travel alone. If I'm not traveling with him, I'm traveling for ministry or business, and someone is with me. But normally I'm not on a plane by myself, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this more often. So it's okay, ladies. Those of you all that are watching, especially you wives and mothers, it's okay to take care of yourself. All right. Put that in the comments. It's okay. It's okay to have self-care days, an hour, 30 minutes a day, whatever it looks like to you, as long as you communicate to your spouse that both of you all are on the same page. Well, we're going to shift a little bit. I told you guys that we had some surprises for you tonight. And so as we are continuing this discussion, we're going to shift. And right now, we are going to bring in these amazing husbands of these beautiful ladies. How dare we not invite them to the discussion? We have talked about them in good ways, might I add. We have discussed their marriages, and I thought it was befitting tonight to bring these mighty men of God on. And these are the surprises for our audience tonight. We have Richard Turner, Dimitri Hayward, and Sean Harris. Let's welcome these husbands tonight. Woo! And thank you guys so much for agreeing to infiltrate our space and share your point of view about this discussion that we've been having. So I'm going to start with you, Richard. Your wife loves you. She loves us some Richard. She loves you. And I can say that about all of these ladies. They love you all. So Richard, what does it mean for you? We've been talking about this young, married, and professional. what does that mean for you? Like, how has your marriage with Anna, how have you guys navigated in this culture age, in this digital age? Both of you guys, she mentioned, are in tech. And so you're entrepreneurs, you're in corporate America, you're also in ministry, husband, wife, mother, and father. You have a daughter. So how have you been navigating all of this, Richard?
I would say ebbs and flows. I think, we both kind of pick up the torch where necessary. So, um, we know how to play both roles. So if she has to do something, she has a meeting, she has late night call for work, or, something like this, then, we kind of switch it up. So then I'm with our daughter, making sure she's getting ready for bed, all that sort of stuff. Um, but on the flip side, if I got to work late, if something is pressing that I need to do, then she knows how to get in line with taking care of Gabby and getting her squared away with what she needs done for the night. So I'd say we just communicate typically or hopefully early, where it's like, yeah, I need you to do this tonight, versus last minute, when then it's just like, oh, I'd already started making plans for something else or what I was going to do with my time. So I would say really just ebbs and flows.
Would you agree, Sean? The same with you and Latasha. I mean, both of you all are full-time entrepreneurs. You're both creators. So how have you all, and you guys have been married for 2 years now, so you're still kind of, developing your foundation, building your foundation. Would you say it's just like, flowing from day to day, however,
I would say it's from flowing from day to day, but at the same time, I'm learning because I'll say it in my mind, and she'll be like, "Well, I got this," and I'm like, "Well, I already had something planned." So I'm learning to communicate more, to say, "Hey, I'm trying to chill today. I'm not trying to do anything, or I'm gonna, I do music too, so I'm gonna just go make some music or do this." And she'll look at me crazy, but we're learning to communicate more. That's where we at right now. Communication. We assume the other person knows what we're thinking, so that's what we're learning.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Dimitri and Mylisha, you guys got a thriving business. Mylisha is a nurse. She's back in school. So how has that been going? How have you guys been navigating that?
Well, we've been knowing each other for some quite a little time, so it's kind of normal to us, or we try to stick. I don't. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't do this all the time, so
It's okay. Take your time. And thank you, because I know you, Dimitri. I know you, Michi. I know you, Michi. I know it's not your thing.
What's the question? Every day, well, she do her 12 hours, and my hours just something everywhere, and we got to just communicate and come apart. Like, hey, we've been apart for a couple of days. We got to go out to eat, or go out to dinner, or just watch a movie, or just put our phones to the side, just put it on D&D, because our hours can just be everywhere, and we just got to come back to the house.
He created this thing. I guess he kind of seen it on Facebook. It's the 2 rule. So every 2 weeks we have to go on a date. Every 2 months we have to travel. Every 2 years we take a 2-week vacation out the country. So he did come to me, like he said, I work 12 hours. So sometimes we're away from the home literally all day.
Most definitely.
So we have to be able to, we have to be able to navigate and communicate, like he said, with one another.
I love that. Michi, go ahead. I'm proud of you, son.
I mean, we got some strong parents around us that they set the foundation. So we just put our own sauce into it and just do what we do.
I love it. And you know what? I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because that's going to lead me into my next question for you all. What pitfalls of marriage have you seen that you and your spouse have said, we're going to totally avoid that, or we're going to work to prevent that? Things that you've seen in other marriages, and you said that this will not be something that we will, adopt. We're going to prevent it. We're going to work hard to avoid it. Like, what are some pitfalls you guys have seen in other marriages that may have led to divorce, separation, spouses living together, married, but don't like each other? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, some of these things that we see that we normally was like, oh, yeah, no.
Mhm.
There's a lot for me. My husband and I have always said there will always be peace in our house, even if we're disagreeing about something. We're not calling each other out of our names. We're not, doing no Ike and Tina. We're not doing nothing. We're not doing that. We're going to disagree, but we're going to always have peace. We're not going to go to bed, with all of this animosity. So what are some other things that, other pitfalls or things that you've seen and you and your spouse have said, no, we're going to work against that. We're going to work to overcome that. Let me hear from you guys.
I will go ahead and say, with our generation, social media plays a big part. So they're quick to run to social media when they're upset, when they're mad. And I think he'll always say, well, you could be whatever you want to be on social media. You could portray whoever you want to be on social media. So I think it's important to not glamorize other relationships and, take what you're seeing on social media. And also, what goes on in this house, it stays in this house. We're going to work with this issue together. It's not our parents' problem to solve. It's not our siblings' problem to solve. We have to solve this together. When we first got married, I said, we're going to always look at it like it's me and you versus the problem, not me and you because of the problem.
Woo! Come on, Mylisha. I love that. Let me hear from the rest of you all. Come on, this is good. We forward here. Come on.
But I was gonna say the same thing. I always tell her, look, we're not about to argue over social media. Like, that's half the stuff on there, like she said, is fake. Not fake, but fake. It's planned. It's not authentic. Because me being a photographer, I know when I put my camera up, everybody puts on a different scene. So it's like, that's not genuine. They probably do that from time to time, but don't compare our marriage to social media. That's my number one thing. And when she get mad at me, I don't let her stay mad at me. It irritates her. I'm like, you're not about to stay mad. So I know that's one thing those are two things that I work on to go with stuff. You guys know?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I would say, like, just stand together just for the sake of, like, kids or something like that. Like, I don't want our marriage to be like that. I have seen that where they're like, well, we've been together this long and the kids got to have two parents in the household. And it's like, if you're not happy or whatever the case may be, not to say that, run straight to divorce, but try to figure out a solution to make it work. Because when you think kids aren't paying attention, they are paying attention, and they know when, like, mommy and daddy aren't happy, and, just the different vibes in the house and things like that. So you think you stand together for the benefit of the children, but really you're affecting them in the long run because they know. So we won't be doing.
This is so good. And I'm so glad that you all are touching on the social media. It's the elephant in the room because there's so much that is portrayed on social media. Anna and Richard, what about you all?
You want to go first?
All right. So, funny enough, I'm not that huge on social media, so like you won't catch anything over there from me. But I'm a person who's all about the numbers. So, I think whatever statistic is out there that tells you that, like, divorce, one of the causes of divorce is due to finances. So I'm like, let's visit this budget. Let's talk about the money in the household, so we're not overspending, spending too much, just dumb stuff, making sure we covering all the bills, all of that. So that's me. I want to talk about the numbers.
He get right to it.
See.
I was gonna say, just really quickly, like, one thing we did talk about as well was, like, divorce is not an option. And I know that's, like, very cliche, but one thing I love about my husband is that he's not just a talker. He's a person who loves an action, and he's a doer. And he even like, because I'm a little emotional. But when we were dating, we had a situation. I thought we were getting ready to break up, and like, the whole ride home, I'm torturing myself, like, oh, we finna break up, finna break up. And then when I said it, I mentioned it to him, like, so we're not gonna break. He was like, no, what are you talking about? We're not gonna break up. But he's like, even in our marriage, I just feel like, of course, we keep Christ at the center, but it's just like, it's just been sustained, and we just balance each other out. And I feel like, even, he'll jokingly remind me, like, you remember that prophecy that we supposed to be together, type of thing. And so and so for us, it's just, we've seen, of course, I'm a product of divorce. Like, both my parents have divorced, they have spouses. And so, that was something, of course, I was like, I cannot do that, not with my children or anything. But those are things that kind of torture me. But I feel like I even find safety in him sometimes, because his love reminds me, no, we ain't doing that. No, we said no, type of thing. So
I love it. And you know what? You guys are of Richard and Anna, you are definitely opposites. He said, I'm not on that social media thing. And Anna, you are all social media. This is your job. This is your livelihood. I think that is just so cool. I absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it. Audience, are you guys enjoying the husbands tonight? We had to bring them on. Listen, I know our time is limited, so I want to talk about really quickly, especially with Sean and Latasha, what the challenges are of a blended family. So Latasha has, told us in this session, and as well as our last show, she, had two children, has two children, and you guys have been married for 2 years, and I know it's been a journey. So and I really, want you guys to just, discuss this from a very transparent perspective for those that are watching, those that are in blended families, or someone that is dating someone that has children, and what goes on with that. What does that look like? So let me hear from you guys regarding that.
Well, I would say it's challenging because her kids are 14 and 20. So they're like kind of stuck in their ways. And here I come, and they're looking at me like, no, we're not doing that. But I didn't have that problem. But it's still certain things that, like, she let them get away with. And I just look at her like, so it's kind of, that's the only type of issue we have as far as that. Only other thing I can say, I was talking to my cousin one day. He said, when we got married, we went from year one, I mean, from day, we went all the way up to like year 5, because we didn't have time to where it's just us. We went straight into a family. So it was like, I was just thinking the other day, I say, what did I say? I said it to myself, not her. I'm so used to worrying about the kids. When we're not worrying about it, I'm looking at her like, okay, we don't think about ourselves at all, because we always worried about the kids. So that's one of the struggles with a blended family, that you don't get that 100% time in the beginning. You almost get like 20% of that, and the kids getting 80, or 60 in your job getting the other 20.
Yeah, and their dad has been out of the house for about 10 years. So for a man to come in the house and now he's the voice, and women, we're more nurturing, we're not really like the disciplinary most of the time, kind of soft, like we'll discipline, but go back like, all right, you could go ahead and go outside, but next time, and you keep giving chances, and he's like, no, if he's on punishment, he's on punishment. And it pulls and tugs in my heart, because I would try to overcompensate for, like, when I went through a divorce, or the fact that their dad, wasn't around and things like that. So I will let, like, my son get away with things that he probably shouldn't have gotten away with, at a younger age. So now that he's going into high school, it's like, see, that should have been nipped in the bud before he got to this point. But it was just me. So I didn't know necessarily how to do some things that, a woman could tell a kid to do something and we yelling at the top of our lungs. The dad said one time and they get up and move.
That's right.
And so I didn't have that for a very long time in my household. It was just me. So I'm trying to balance nurturing and discipline. And it's like usually the woman is the nurturer, the man is the disciplinary. So that's the thing that that we're still, because the older they get, the more I worry. I let my son go outside and then
And
his
she be,
phone
oh
died.
my
And I'm
goodness.
like, I'm going to find him. And he like, no, we going to sit right here and he's going to have to learn. But me, I'm like, but that's my baby. And what if something going on? He like, nah, because he should be responsible to charge his phone or use somebody else's phone to call you. And so that's the thing. And I'm like, well, you don't understand because you don't really have kids that you had before us. And so, we'll go back and forth about that. So it's stuff like that.
Yes, yes. And honestly, Sean, you are her helpmeet. She is your helpmeet. So it's a great balance. And you are so correct. When that man speaks, that's it. That's it. That's all. Mama would have said something about 15 times. And that man said one time, that baritone in the voice.
Yes.
And that's it.
I don't yell.
And Sean is very
I
monotone.
don't
We're
yell.
the complete opposite. Like, I'm so used to having to raise my voice that
Yes.
I would raise my voice. And he'll be like, you don't even got to do all of that. And he'll just be so calm, like, Tyler, take the garbage out. And I'm like, did you hear me say take the garbage out? Don't make me come in that room. And he like, hey man, go take the garbage outside. And I just be looking like, so he's teaching me to just be calm, and I'm just like, okay, so I'm learning. Like, I don't gotta do all of that extra stuff. You about to bust a blood vessel. Yep.
He's trying to keep you fabulous.
Yeah.
So you don't have to age, you don't have to burst no blood vessels. He just
You see, I got all the gray hair now from the, I ain't had
there
none of
you
that.
go. There you
I
go.
have none of that.
Wow, this is awesome. I saw someone in the comments say, what about Arch? No, Arch won't join us tonight. He is actually at the church conducting a ministers meeting. And he texted me yesterday and said, I'm doing, the ministers are meeting tomorrow night. Are you going to be there? And I said, love, I got Facebook Live, but oh man, okay, all right. So that is why he's not with us tonight. He is at the church in meetings. But I want us to talk and close out our discussion for this evening. I hope you guys have enjoyed our encore presentation. I hope you guys have enjoyed part 2. We've talked about money. We've talked about self-care. We brought in the husbands to hear their point of view. But I want to talk about, as we close everything out on this evening, I want to talk about the importance of having family time of prayer. What does that devotion look like in your home? Do you pray together? Is that something that's initiated? How important is prayer to your marriage? So I'll let anyone who would like to go first. We want to hear from everyone, but how important is prayer and devotion to your marriage?
I will go. I'm learning because I pray in a heartbeat, but God kind of been saying, you ain't been praying for your wife. I'll pray for her in 2 seconds. And I'll be like, would you pray for me? She said, what'd you say? I intimidate her. She think I'm judging her when she's praying. And I'm like, I'm not, because she's a prayer warrior.
Yes, she is.
And I'm just like, man, you can pray. I'm not judging you. It's just certain you might say something.
Like, I'll be praying and he'll be like, did you say this? And I'm just like, can I finish praying first?
But I want her to add it in. Hey, add this in. You gotta add this in. That's my thing. Add this in. But she like cracking jokes while I'm praying too. That's what she do. She be cracking jokes. So in the beginning, I used to be like, okay, let me make sure I say it right. But now I don't care. I talk to God like I'm talking to you right now.
That's right. Absolutely. Yes.
That's just been my thing. So it's just, we got to start praying together more. Yes. We pray separately, but I know it has to be, we won now. So it's like he attacking both of us and we stronger together. So yeah.
Yes. But we do pray. Like we talk to the kids about it. I have my daughter doing her own like Bible study and stuff that she does. And so, but praise and worship. Now worship. Now we be in here doing a little worship.
More so me, not her. I don't. be like David. She just be.
Okay, it's American Idol over here because
I love it. I love it. And Sean, don't feel bad because it's easy to have your own personal prayer time with the Lord. But coordinate your spouse's schedule and pulling your spouse saying, hey, we haven't prayed together in a minute. Let's do that. Listen, everybody is still a work in progress, for real, for real. So do not feel bad about that. It is vital, but we understand that, sometimes, depending on what time you leave the house, what time you get home. It's like that with me and Archbishop. Like tonight, he's away. I haven't seen him since early this morning, and it's like that. But there are times when you have to, depending on, what season you're in your marriage, what project you may be undergoing, what attacks may be happening spiritually, where you have to pull your spouse and say, two are better than one. Let's go ahead and get this devil out. Let's pray for some clarity regarding this. And you have to. Mylisha and Dimitri, let's hear from you guys.
My alarm sometimes be Mylisha praying. I could just be sleeping. She just be praying. And I should be better off praying, but she prayed like every day, all day, whenever, and
It's needed.
but I'll probably call out the blue like, hey, babe, let's pray before you go to work out the blue, because she rub off on me, I ain't gonna lie, but my alarm is Mylisha praying sometimes. So, but prayers definitely is major in our household. I try my best to pray, but I'm a work in progress, But Mylisha definitely she a prayer warrior. If like her prayers be like 5 minutes and mine be like 2 seconds, I'm like, man, I don't like praying with you because your prayers be like books and mine be like a half a second. I don't think you're not hearing me how you hear yours.
But you know what, Michi? Do not, again, it goes back to a little bit of what Sean and Latasha said.
For sure.
Because, and it's in reference to raising their children, that a woman can be like on 10 and a man will be like, Lord, do it. And that's it. And it's bam. And women, we pulling down strongholds. We try to make sure we got everything covered. And a man just pray and be like, amen, Lord, do it right now. And that's it. That's it. That's enough. God hears you and he's going to act. You don't have to be intimidated or any of that, because your prayers are just as powerful. And God honors the role of you as the head of the household. So yeah, absolutely. And you got foundation in you too, Beachy. You come from the same church. So listen, I know you know how to pray.
And as far as devotion in our household, when we have a disagreement, we just cannot come to a solution. I say, hey, Google, can you play some gospel music? And I have to set the atmosphere, because sometimes, what I'm saying and what he's saying, it just won't agree. And I kid you not, when we set the tone in our household, it changes the whole trajectory. We can come together and talk things out, but that's my go-to, prayer and devotion.
I love it. I love it. Are you all being blessed tonight, audience? This is so good. I'm so glad we have them on tonight. All right, Anna and Richard, close us out.
All right. Yeah, so I think it's a work in progress with praying together. I will say we're getting better, but really in the beginning of our marriage, she trying to settle in for this. In the beginning, she was really trying to get me to do like these devotionals and like pray together. And I ain't even gonna hold you. I thought it was kind of like weird, like it was a weird feeling, because like when growing up, like I never saw my parents like praying together and all that. So it's like I knew they prayed, I knew they read the word, all that stuff. So I'm like, man, we don't do that together, So it's kind of weird for me at first, but now we pray with our daughter before sleep, and just get more comfortable with it. So I think like everyone's been saying, it's a work in progress.
Amen. Amen. I left him alone though. Y'all I used to try and make him hold hands with me and all that. Leave him alone. Let the Lord let the Lord refine him. But I'm a lot like Malisha. Malisha as well. Like I just be, I do have my own prayer time and that type of thing. And I like even in the last couple of years, like I've even seen God like draw Richard, and that's another thing. I was saying it jokingly, but I'm serious. Leave him alone. Leave that man alone and let the Lord refine him. And I feel like there's even scripture in the Bible that talks about the wife and the unbelieving husband. Not to say that he's unbelieving, but it was like he did not believe in the power of prayer together, but eventually being in the right house and all of these things, like he began to see the power of coming together and praying. And so I'm grateful to God even for the season that we're in. But I probably was a little weird, so I'll give him that, trying to but no, yeah, it's gotten much better.
Oh, this is so wonderful. This is what I want to do because each of you have such a unique anointing upon your marriage. And I know we've got singles that are watching, and I want each of you to take about 60 seconds and just kind of encourage our single women, single men that are watching, that are thinking that, the dating scene is trash. They may never connect with their forever love. They're watching you all and like, these are goals, but I don't see it happening for myself. Tonight, I just kind of want to minister to the singles and let them know that they are on God's mind and love is possible. So I just want each of you collectively, or however you guys want to do it, just kind of really encourage our single women, single men, because they're both watching, and just let them know that, that all things happen in timing and love is definitely very much possible. So Mylisha and Michi, I want you guys to go first.
I would just say to the single woman and or the single man is wait on God and hear from God. As you all can see, I met Michi when I was a teenager. We got married at 26, 27. Latasha and her husband, they met later in life and got married. And the Richards, they met, sorry, I butchered your name, but they met at a different point in life. So we all have a different story, a different pattern. So don't think God has forgotten about you in your season, in your waiting season. Just trust God, believe God, and don't lower your standards. Stick to what you desire. Keep reminding God, because God keeps every promise. So you have to sometimes repeat the word and remind God of his word. And just, I know it can get a little weary and you want to backslide and slide back into that DM, but I just say, know what whatever you desire and whatever you are expecting from God, know that he is a way maker and he answers all prayers.
Amen. I love it. Michi, what's your advice?
I just feel like you should, if you're young or old or whatever age you are, just stay focused on whatever you doing at this moment. Like if you're in school, you should focus on school. Or if like you got a desire to build up a business, you should focus on building up that business, or just like do your homework, or have to do an LLC, or just because love gonna find you eventually wherever you at. It could be at Starbucks, or it could just be just at getting your oils changed somewhere. It's just not just written. It could happen whenever. And just stay focused on yourself. And just for the ladies, personally, y'all got the golden key to get the ring. Just save yourself. You can't be focused on what you see on this internet. Like I'm big on this internet thing. I feel like I'm old and young at the same time because I'm in between the generation. Like I got an old spirit, but I'm young.
Yeah.
But like right now, today's age, we just looking at the next person because we could just easily just click on our phone to see what the next person got. It just stayed time. Like it was just me and Malisha, when we were just young, just like I just can't just stay focused. It's gonna happen.
I love it. Thank you, Michi. Sean and Latasha, what are your advice to the singles tonight?
You want to go first?
I would say rip up the list. God is going to give you what you need, not what you want. And so a lot of times us women, we have in our minds, like, I want him to look a certain way. I want him to dress a certain way. I want him to drive a certain car or whatever the case may be.
And I'm all that. No,
And God is over here laughing like that's what you think. And all along, you could be passing up your husband because you have in your mind what you want. And not to say some of the things that you want, you won't get, because I actually got what I want and like everything that I need. And I've been knowing Sean for a very long time.
Yeah, we had to have a whole segment how I like a whole. It's weird.
Yeah, but I was overlooking him because he wasn't the image I had in my mind of what I wanted my husband to look like. So ladies, like, stop being mean to the gentleman who's treating you nice, who's, you know, being respectful, who is, you know, actually have the qualities, but he may not look like you want him to look like. That's not, you know, I mean, you have to be attracted to him, but honestly, when you're spiritually connected and they're possessing all these good characteristics, you're going to become attracted to them anyway. So just rip up the list. That's what I would say on what you desire in the natural.
It's my turn. Okay. Mine was like that too. I'm like, I don't want nobody my age. I want somebody younger, and they can't have no kids. She's older than me, and she had kids. So that's that. And
Wow.
Ella played a little part in this. I don't know if she remembered that time we was doing the headshots at Mayel. And yeah, you said something to me, and I was like, I prayed to God before I walked in, like, man, just give me some type of confirmation. And she said something to me. I just looked at her like, what? What are you talking about? And she had no idea. So that's why that's kind of the reason we married. Every day. And then also, I can tell the people when you in your purpose, the Lord align you all to be where you're supposed to be, and that's kind of how this all happened. So yeah. And ladies, don't be thirsty. Sit back, don't pursue the man, let the man pursue you.
Right, go back to those days because it's
they're making
changed
this
now.
independent women thing, and you can propose to them. No, let the man do everything.
Say it for the people in the back.
Let the man do everything. No.
Thank you. Thank you. There was a, and then I'm going to have the Richard. I'm like my Alicia would let the Richards. I keep looking at your title. We are Richard. That's the reason why. But there was a reel that I shared on my page a couple months ago of this individual that gave herself a wedding and she married herself. Yeah. And so I said, okay, this is the world that we live in. This is the world that we live in. So I'm a firm believer, like you, Sean, have stated, let the man pursue you. And it's okay to desire a mate. Yes, we are independent women. Yes, God has blessed us where we're doing some great things for ourselves, but it is okay to let the man pursue you. It is okay to desire a mate. Yeah. Superwomen, yes. Even Superwoman had a boo. Yes, she did. I know that's way back in the 80s and all of that. Superwoman wasn't always by herself. Anyway, let's keep it going. Richard and Anna, what is your advice to the singles on tonight?
The one thing that I was before really quickly, the reason it says we are Richard, we laugh about this all the time. That is really a declaration. You know, I love my husband. That's just, we are one, but you can call us the Richards. We're Richard. One thing that I would definitely say is that do not worry about your internal time clock and all of that thing, because I really found, honestly, when I was able to come to a place where I was like, okay, God, I fully trust you with my singleness. I fully trust you with whatever you have for me. It really was at that point when I just began to focus on God and like not worry about what everybody else dating, everybody else doing this, that Richard just came out of nowhere. But then even beyond that, it's like I had trusted people that I went to about like the state of my relationship, the state of my, you know, who I am as a woman, my purpose and that type of thing. So I didn't, although I, of course, I have a relationship with the Lord, but I didn't spend a lot of time in my head. And I feel like that's what it gets a lot of women, because we overanalyze, overcomplicate, overthink things. Like the man of God opened the door for you, so automatically that's your husband. Like, no, you know. So when Richard, I'm not gonna spend too much time, but when Richard did start coming around, I did not automatically go after him, because he would do certain things that I'd be like, I think he liked me, but I'm not sure. But I had trusted people, men, women of God, my parents, that I would go to, so that I was dumping on them, so that I was not internalizing things and acting out of like the time that God had predestined for us to really come together. So it really was, of course, like stop worrying and wondering, like, you know, about when the time is for you, and just put your trust in the Lord. But then as well, when the time does come, make sure that you have people that you're accountable to, so that you're not just stuck in your head and all of that type of thing. So I would definitely leave that for, if you are a young woman or man that's like wondering or waiting, I would definitely leave that for you.
All right.
Amen.
Yeah. Cool. For me, I agree with Meech a lot with staying focused, especially in what you're doing. So like whether it's your work, school, all of that, I would say stay focused and kind of like keep your head on a swivel where, you know, I feel like when people take that advice of staying focused, they like get tunnel vision,
Yeah.
like and they just block out everybody, then they, you know, still wonder why they single. But it's like you still got to keep your head on a swivel while staying focused. And you know, I'm not against dating people, but I believe in definitely minding your convictions slash red
You
flags.
better preach.
So, you know, yeah, date whoever, but you know, when you get that conviction, like this ain't it, you got to go on and drop them. So, because then the longer you stay in that, you delaying getting to the person you're supposed to be with. So I'll keep it short and sweet.
I love it. Audience, did you enjoy the husbands on tonight? This was absolutely amazing. I want you guys to put in the comments. Come on, let's show some love to Richard, to Sean, to Michi, Dimitri. Thank you, fellas, for coming on tonight. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, ladies, for being a part of this encore presentation. Tonight was a great way to close out Young, Married, and Professional, brought to you by the Wives Matter Network. Listen, if you want to join the Wives Matter Network, and the network is not just for wives, but it's for those of you that are aspiring to be wives, soon to be wives, fiancés, divorced, separated, widowed. This network covers everything. We are about empowering you as a woman in every stage of your life so that you can have healthy relationships. And if you want to join the Wives Matter Network, be a part of our mentorship, go ahead and type in the website www.wivesmatternetwork.com. wivesmatternetwork.com, and enroll into our mentorship and receive empowerment videos where we give you wisdom on marriage, on finance, on business, on raising children, all of that great stuff. The Wives Matter Network, where we remind you that you matter to the world. I hope you enjoyed tonight's encore presentation of Young, Married, and Professional with myself, Anna Turner, Latasha Harris, and Mylisha Hayward. We're going to be back next month with some great content. We've got some upcoming shows that you're going to surely enjoy, especially if you've enjoyed tonight. And let us not forget that November 10th and 11th, we're going to be in Los Angeles, California for the Future Awaits You Vision Summit for Women. It's going to be an unforgettable weekend. And if you are on the fence about registering and booking your ticket, let me help you. Get off the fence and just do it. Get off the fence and just do it. Meet me in Los Angeles, California, November 10th and 11th, 2023, for the Future Awaits You Vision Summit for Women. It's going to be a great time of impartation. Have a wonderful Monday evening. Have a great week, a week of victory, a week of power, a week of clarity, a week of success. I speak it over you tonight. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.